Welcome to Breaking the Couch, a weekly conversation demystifying what happens in and behind the therapy scene to support your healing journey. We're your hosts.
I'm Dr. Dowdson, a licensed clinical professional counselor, a certified school psychologist, and a trauma specialist with Playfully Psyched.
And I'm Dr. Joharchi with Soft Art Psychology, a licensed clinical psychologist.
We're here aiming to provide you with mental health tools to address the cycle of generational trauma across the age span, from infancy and childhood to adulthood.
For more information, visit our Instagram page at Breaking the Couch or our website, breakingthecouch.com. While we hope you love listening to and learning from our podcast, it's not a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
So we're back with a new episode today, and as we were talking offline, Dr. Joharchi, I think it would be really good for us to talk in this public space really about a core issue that keeps coming up repetitively with my caseload and has for years, especially when I'm working with adults and adult survivors of childhood trauma, whether it was like prolonged trauma, abusive childhood, or even sometimes single incidence traumas. And so I'm noticing a pattern and a theme, and I know that you probably have, I would think that you have some similarities in your caseload as well. But this whole idea of not enoughness, or I'm not enough, the idea of inherent value, right? That we exist, because we exist, we hold value. And so I thought we could kind of open that up and talk about our ideas here in this public space to really help people who are struggling with that, and as a first exploration for it.
Yeah, I really want us to get a chance to talk about kind of exploring what that is like. And I know that I've come to you for a consultation around kind of just exploring that inherent value without doing something, and that the person is actually valuable, so enough, without doing a thing. And I know that we've talked about this for our clinical cases. So I think that'd be a great conversation here for folks listening.
Awesome. The first thing that comes to mind, right, is, like you said, we have to do something to be worthy, to be valuable, to be enough, right? And so, just kind of, I feel like there's so many different avenues and in ways that this is entangled. But I really think that if we even go back to this whole idea of productivity in our society in the US, Belgium, I don't know, maybe you guys have this going on too, but this idea that you have to prove your worthiness through a certain set of tasks. And what comes to mind is like report cards and schools and token economies, right? Where how we value and praise, for example, the letter A. And most families that have some type of, financial resources within their families across this country have a system set up for their children where some people will like actually pay their child out for A's, right? Where it's like an A is $5 or $10 or however much on their report card. Within the classroom, we use a certain reinforcement system, same things. And so that's already embedding in the child and the person that you're not that good just because you got a C. Right? Or elementary schools sometimes use numbering systems. So like you got a 3 or, or something like that. Like you're not really worth anything unless you can bring home those 1s, unless you can bring home those A's, then, you're not that great. You don't really, what value are you adding to this classroom? And so I wonder how much of that starts to stem into our belief system as we grow in age. And that's just one avenue of it that is likely a starting point for some, or at least an early point for some.
Yeah. It's funny because when you started bringing up inherent value, my mind went to different systems, systems of oppression, medical systems, just a bunch of different racism within systems. And I thought, well, all these systems are saying, society is saying people don't have inherent value, that they do have to do stuff in order to be valuable. And I really like that you went to the school system. My memory is being jogged when you're saying A's and numbers, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know about you, but when I was little, we had like yellow, red, green cards, and I was constantly looking up there getting yellow, red cards for just thinking that I was naughty because I couldn't be quiet or sit still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, that's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, so the A's is reminding me, oh yeah, that's the yellow card, the red card. Hmm.
Yeah, we didn't have the yellow red cards, but we have seen those. I have seen those in like different educational settings. But one that came to mind is we had a demotion system. We actually had a
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's what it was called, our demotion system. And this was fourth grade is the one that I'm remembering. But there was like some major field trip that we were earning. Okay, first of all, it's education. Why are we earning a field trip? But like we were earning a field trip. And like, you know, who you can sit with on the bus to whatever place it was. I don't remember the field trip, but who you can sit with on the bus, like you can select your seating, different things that you could do while on the field trip were embedded within this point system. And it was, first of all, it was developmentally too long of a system. It had to be at least 30 days because I remember there was a whole calendar thing, right? And like each day you maybe started off with 2 points or something that it can take them away. But I just remember getting all the way through the month and then I did one thing or said the wrong thing and I lost points
Oh no.
and ended up like not
Yeah.
being able to choose my seat and all this. It's just like,
Mm.
but like 28 days of like perfection, quote unquote, and now I'm worthless. Like now I can't sit with my friends on the bus or all those things. And so it's just like, where does that tell people
Mhm.
about right their value or their worth? And how do we reinforce, you know, how do we separate that? And I don't have a full answer for that. Like, how do we separate? Yes, we want to praise you when you've done something that you are proud of. I think that's the key point
Mhm.
that is probably missing in some of these structures. And I love that you talked about oppression. Of course, right? People struggle with inherent value or knowing that they have inherent value when when society has told them that they don't,
Mhm.
that you aren't worth anything, right? You're bottom rung. We talk about this could be gender based. This can be racially based. You know, as a Black woman, I just submitted a chapter proposal about this or article proposal with Black women, right? That, oh my gosh, from as early as infancy, we are told that we aren't enough and that we are like worthless in some ways.
Mhm.
And so these are messages, these are like subconscious messages that are sent to us that society just doesn't say outright to the baby, oh, you're worthless, right? But it's insidious and it's in the things that we do and in the environments that we experience right? And the interactions that we have that then we get to in adulthood and we're like, why don't I believe that I'm enough? Well, here's one reason, and then here was a school system reason, and then, you know, yeah, it's such a big issue for so many populations.
And I appreciate that you bring that up. I mean, one of the things you had told me in consultation was, you know, consultation, I think folks probably know, but it's basically like us kind of getting another set of eyes on things, making sure it's kind of like when doctors, I mean, it is literally like when doctors
I
do
mean, we are
rounds
doctors,
and then consult with each other. Exactly right. And kind
physicians,
of
yeah.
make sure that, yeah, thank you, physicians, that we're doing the best care for the person, right? So I go to Dr. Doughton. And I remember you had said something like, and I wrote it down so I could say it too. It was like something so powerful. It was like it has, what was it? It was like something, I don't know if you remember, but it was like something like, you know, has, if no one has ever told you that you have value, even if you did nothing else, like what does that feel like exploring in this moment together? And you said it much more beautifully, but it was something like that. And I've
Mhm.
just found that so helpful with my clients, especially women of color. In that, there are certain things that I, in my white body, will never understand. There are certain oppressions and pressures from systems that I will never know what that experience is like. And
Mhm.
so I have to have this consultation and kind of this channel. What does it feel like hearing that they are worthy, they are enough, just for
Mhm.
doing nothing, just
Mhm.
because of who they are? They have that inherent value. And folks have created different ways of kind of letting that trickle in for themselves, and it's been really great work. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm so glad that was helpful for you and for the people that, the lives that you touch in your work. I think I've said this in a previous episode, but I do help people go back to, okay, all right, fine. Maybe not you as a baby, but let's go to a baby, right?
Yeah.
Most people can understand or believe that babies have a value,
Oh my
that
gosh, of
babies
course.
are born
Yeah.
into the world with a value. And when people are like, oh, no, they're just a baby. And I say, okay, let's break it down. Um, let's look at like how most people respond to babies. And they're like, oh, they smile, they like who, whatever. I was like, oh, so there's a goodness to this baby just by existing that is
Right
bringing
there.
people joy.
Mhm,
Just like
mhm.
they just show up, come into the world, and people are like, oh, look, a baby, right? And
Totally.
so, and they're like, okay, all right. So maybe babies have inherent value, but not forever. Okay, well, where did you pinpoint it? When does inherent value go away?
Good question.
Right?
Mm.
What age is that? Is there a birthday milestone? Did we get a mark somewhere? Like, what is that? Does it change? Like, what does that look like? Right? Most people don't have an answer. And so
Mhm.
then they, come to the realization that, oh, wow, I didn't all this time, right? I've been believing that I don't. Like, I have to do this thing. I have to get married. I have to have children. I have to get this promotion at work. I have to buy a home. I have to do all these things. I have to show up and be this kind of friend, to be this type of, child to my parent, whatever, in order to prove my worth and value in this world. And like you said, like that aha of like, you mean I don't have to do that? You mean my existence can actually help the world? Like I'm still worthy of love and care and nurturing, even if I'm not checking off 50,000 things on my productivity task list?
Mhm.
Because the flip side is, right, if you're doing all those tasks and you're like trying so hard and like giving of yourself to everyone all the time, then when is the stopping point? So I was like, well, where
Mhm.
was the stopping point, or where was the starting point of like, oh, now you're a person that doesn't have inherent value unless you do X, Y, Z. Okay, but where's the accumulation system? Right? So like how many years or for how long or how many tasks, who's keeping score? Where's the tally of all the things you have to do in order to meet the point of enoughness, to meet the point of value? Because if it's a moving target, then is it really attainable? And if it's not attainable, is it worth killing yourself over, right? Burning yourself out to something that isn't possible, right? And then that's where we kind of circle into exploring self-love and,
Absolutely.
tapping back into your younger self, your, little you, um, and letting little you know that they're loved. You were gonna say
Mm.
something. I'm sorry. I'm just like taking over this episode. My bad.
Not at all. No, no, it went by too fast. But no, I mean, in episode 2, if people want to know a little bit more about like what that looks like, how that feels, episode 2, season 2, you'll find like a little bit more information about loving on little you. But I love hearing what you're saying, kind of walking through those steps of inherent value and inherent worth, and then eventually leading to that loving of little you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So what you're telling me is that I reorganized the episodes on accident. But okay, it's good. Listen,
No, we could do inner child stuff a million times over. I hope my biggest hope would be that somebody's like, tell me more about what happens, that we have a part 2 on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of which, this has been a really great episode, I feel. And again, I talked a lot on this one. We can be reached. So when you say, hey, I really want to hear more, that was too short, find us on Instagram at Breaking the Couch. Tag us in your stories. Put a comment on one of our videos. We fell off a little bit from posting there, but we're going to ramp that back up again for season 2, our farewell season. We have a website, breakingthecouch.com. You can submit a survey and just say, hey, I want to learn more about this. I want to, you address this comment or this question, this topic. You can call in and leave a voicemail if you go through Anchor. Whenever we mention books, we do try to put the books in our show notes. And those books are from Bookshop, which really helps us give back to local bookstores. We do get a small kickback from those just to help produce more episodes. But at the same time, we really want to just support some of those local and small business bookstores. So until next time.
If you are looking for a therapist for yourself or your child, you can visit our websites, playfullypsych.com or softheartpsychology.com.
We appreciate you joining us this week and can't wait till there's another opportunity to jump on the couch with you next week.